This is a perfect storytelling storm lens, and it might just replace 2 or maybe even 3 lenses in your travel kit. All right, so you might be interested in this. This is the brand new Sigma 17-40 f1.8 for crop sensor cameras. And it's pretty cool because it's an art lens for a crop sensor camera, which is not too common. I believe that this lens right here has the capability of being a storytelling hybrid. Whether you're doing landscape photography, travel photography, taking portraits of family and friends, or if the light starts getting pretty low and you need some low light capabilities with that aperture of f1.8, this lens has the capability of being that one-stop shop, especially if you only want to bring one lens on a trip. All right, so let's put this lens to some work and let's test out some landscape photography. So with landscape photography and waterfall photography, I like to shoot wide, and 17 millimeters is definitely wide enough. Couple on the fact that you can go all the way up to 40 millimeters, it helps you have versatility of range when you're deciding on your composition for your landscape photos. Now, unless you're doing something kind of creative and funky, you don't really shoot landscape photos in f1.8, but I tested in various apertures like 5.6, 9, and 11, and I felt like the quality of each one of those photos looked absolutely great. For the purpose of this video, I've done minimal editing on the photos that I've displayed here, just some basic touch-ups. So this combination of the a6400 plus this lens, the photos you're seeing are what you're basically getting out of the camera. Walking around, hiking with this lens, it's bigger than other prime lenses and it's a little bit heavier than other things like an 1835, but honestly, it is quite light and I don't think you will notice the size difference too much. I really enjoyed using this lens out on the trail. So I've been testing this lens for a while now, and you might be interested. What else is it good for besides landscape, waterfall photography, which is kind of what I primarily do on this channel. But the other thing that I do is I'm also a wedding photographer. So I was curious how this would do with portraits and, for example, travel photography. You're going on a trip with friends or family and you want to bring a camera to capture that. I think you're going to be quite surprised on how well it did. Okay, so let's say you're going on a trip and you're with your partner, you're with your family. I know when I'm on a trip, I like to focus more on the trip than the photography or photos I want to take. So this lens kind of fits the jack of all trade. I don't have to think about, just slap it on my camera and I should be good for most situations. As a wedding photographer, I really enjoyed shooting with this lens for portraits, especially in 35 millimeters f1.8. I felt like the separation of background with my subject was really nice, and it just looked so sharp to me. I'm usually not the biggest fan of crop sensor cameras with portrait photography, but this lens has me second guessing that. But I had to say, one of the coolest things I did testing this lens was low light, and we'll get into that in just a second. Also, being into video work as well, and you might be as well, I think this is a great hybrid lens for multiple use cases for video work. This is a quick little sequence of a fire tower in the Finger Lakes using the Sony a6400 with this Sigma 1740 f1.8. So I figured, you know what, another thing you guys might want to know is how this performs in a low light scenario. And while the woods is beautiful, I think doing this in town with some old school theater type lighting is what we're gonna do for this test. So come with me and let's head downtown. We went downtown Ithaca and I knew of a state theater that was absolutely photogenic. I've never got the chance to photograph anything around here or a subject around here, so my wife was very gracious in volunteering to be the subject in this shoot as well, and I got to play around with some low light photography portraits. Now this is probably about 20-25 minutes after the sunset, so it was getting kind of dark. It was more blue hour than dark itself, but I was using the ambient street lighting and various lighting from the buildings to help light my subject, and I really liked how this lens performed in low light. I very rarely want to use my a6400 in low light environment, but when you're getting down to aperture f1.8, and it's better to be an f1.4, but in this case f1.8, it does enable you to take this crop sensor camera and push the limits and take some decent low light photography, portraits, and photos. Now, of course, unfortunately, no lens is absolutely perfect. So what are some of the cons associated with it? So it's not that small, but it's not really big either. I used it continuously for about 3-4 hours, and it felt very comfortable in my hands for that amount of time. So I don't think size is a pro or a con. The biggest thing that you might have to watch out for is it's not weather sealed. So if it's raining or snowing, I might keep this lens at home in those situations. But on the flip side of that, it is an internal zoom, and I find that as far as dust is concerned and dirt, internal zooms are pretty much always a safer option. But really, honestly, in my opinion, that's it as far as the cons. So I really think this lens is worth it, and here's why. If you want to photograph landscapes, waterfalls, portraits of friends and family, or even when the lights go down, some night photography and portrait photography at night, if that's you, I absolutely love this lens. Anyways, thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.